guys, what's up? It's AppleCritics from AppleCritics.com. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the iPhone 7 Plus in 2020, and I'm going to be telling you whether it is the best budget phone of 2020 and gives you the most bang for your buck. So stay tuned for this review of the iPhone 7 Plus in 2020. So without further ado, let's get into this video. So the iPhone 7 Plus is actually going to be 4 years old in September of this year. So it's released in September 2016 and was the first phone with dual cameras on the back with the Plus model. Now I'm specifically going to be tailoring this video towards the 7 Plus and not the iPhone 7 because I believe they're two different devices. One has a dual camera on the back and has a bigger screen, and it gives you a completely different experience overall. Now, the iPhone 7 Plus is still a solid device. It's definitely a bargain buy. You can get it used on eBay for around $300, which isn't too bad. It still has that old look to it. You can see that it has that home button on the bottom with the taptic feedback. So it's not actually a home button. It just feels like it is one, and you can change the sensitivity on it with the 3 different modes. It still has those big bezels at the top, and you can see at the bottom as well. You can see the screen right there as well. Now, it doesn't have that headphone jack like it used to, so it just only has that lightning. So it's definitely a groundbreaking phone as the first one without the headphone jack, and that did cause a stir, and you had to have that that lightning to 3.5 millimeter adapter that came with it in the box. If not, you had to go to the Apple Store and pay $10 for a new one. Now, it did come with the matte black model and the jet black model. Now, I do have the matte black one, but just because I have the screen protector on the back, it feels a little bit different. It gives you that a jet black glossy feel, but I just have this clear coat screen protector just to protect the back of it. Now, it did once again have the new dual camera on the back with one wide angle lens and one telephoto lens. So for those extended range shots, it included the HDR, the flash, the 4K video, and it actually still has a good camera to it overall. Now, before I go ahead and get into this video, let's take a look at these settings and then general. And then you're going to see that my iPhone 7 Plus is running on 13.3.1. So that's basically going to be the perspective of this video. So the iPhone 7 Plus on the latest iOS 13.3.1, just for reference for this video. So since the iPhone 7 Plus was the first phone with a dual lens setup with the telephoto and wide angle lens, it makes the most sense to take a look at the camera app. Now, the iPhone 7 Plus has a very solid camera on iOS 13. Now, the camera isn't bad, but it's not the best. So it's somewhere between good to great. So it's not the iPhone 11 Pro's camera by any means, but it's still a decent camera that can put up a fight with some smartphones that were released around the same time. Now, taking a look at the camera settings, and we take a look at what frames per second you can record video in, you can see that it's currently set to 1080p at 30 frames per second, but if we tap on record video, it was actually the first iPhone to let you record 4K 30 frames per second. So on the newest iPhone, it allows you to record 4K at 60 frames per second. So you get 30 frames per second with this iPhone 7 Plus. And it was just the last iPhone restricted to the 4K at 30 frames per second, as the iPhone 8 Plus does have the 4K at 60 frames per second. And the overall picture quality is decent. It's not as good as the iPhone 10, the XS, or etc., but it has a very decent camera that allows you to get the job done. Now, with the home button, earlier in the video I mentioned the home button briefly, and it was the first iPhone without the mechanical home button. So it has the taptic engine to it, and you set the pressure in the settings. So you have the 1, so you can see what it feels like at 1, you have 2, and then you have 3, which I normally have it set to. So the more that you increase the number, the more obvious the click is. So you could choose which one that you want. So this is really interesting, and it gives you that old feel of having a home button compared to now on the iPhone 10 and above, you just swipe up. Now, this home button was introduced so that you can never break it. In the previous generation iPhones, such as the iPhone 6 and 6S and below, the iPhone home button would always break after a few years, and it was a major complaint in terms of users, but now this one doesn't break. Now, the cool thing about this iPhone is that once your iPhone runs out of battery, you can't keep clicking the home button. It won't have a clicking sensation, but the moment you turn it on, you get that click to it. So that's really interesting. And now I can put the home button closer to the microphone and you can hear the click, and we can compare it to number one. And you can kind of hear a difference. So that's what you can do with the home button. Now, there is 3D touch on the iPhone 7 Plus still, and it is pressure sensitive, so that's a good thing. So if you look at the App Store, you can just tap and hold and then it will work. If we take a look at the iTunes Store, just tap and hold. Now, some apps do have the Force Touch and others don't. So it's really nice to have that original Force Touch back again. And not only does it have Force Touch, but it also still has the Touch ID. So with the Touch ID, we just simply put our finger on the home button and then we'll unlock just like that. So Touch ID is actually super convenient. Now, compared to Face ID, I do like Touch ID a little bit better because it just gives you that old iPhone feel since it was introduced with the iPhone 5S. And it's just a really nice feature. I like using my finger. Now, the major difference between Touch ID and Face ID is that if you get your finger a little dirty, let's say you're eating chips and your finger gets too greasy, then the Touch ID won't work. But whereas with Face ID, it works in the dark. It works pretty much anywhere. As long as you just use your face, you can use it. But the good thing about Touch ID is that when you use Apple Pay, all you do is just put your phone over the debit or credit machine and you just do this with your finger and then it works. Instead of kind of figuring out Face ID, you have your phone right over the NFC tag to pay for, let's say, a coffee at Dunkin' Donuts, and then you got to make sure that your face is in frame and then it will work. So it's a little bit more maneuvering with Face ID versus Touch ID. They both have their pros and cons, I must say. Now, in terms of the design of the iPhone 7 Plus, it is the 7000 series aluminum, which is still premium. Now, it's better than a glass back because with an iPhone with a glass back, it just will break. But with the aluminum on the back, gives it a little bit of a sturdiness, kind of reminds me of the original iPhone with the kind of titanium original design on the back. And now this iPhone 7 Plus is 188 grams and it doesn't feel too bad comparing it to iPhone 11 Pro or something like that. It just feels pretty balanced and the weight is pretty good overall. Now, I must say, durability wise, this iPhone 7 Plus is still good, especially for a 2016 device. Now, the iPhone 7 did have some paint chip issues on the models that weren't the matte black version, and especially with the jet black version, it would get a lot of scratches since it was a glossy back. So just be wary of that, but it depends what iPhone 7 Plus you get. Sometimes you'll have that problem depending on the color, and otherwise you won't. Now, it also is IP67 water resistant, so it works in the pool, the beach, the shower, or if you get a little, or if you're washing your hands and you get a little bit on your iPhone, it still will work. Now, when you look at the display, it's a 5.5-inch diagonal, a 1080p by 1920 LCD display with 401 pixels per inch and 625 nits of max brightness, and it is the same display in terms of nits of 625 as the iPhone 11, but it is not OLED like the iPhone 11, but you do get dark mode, which is always good. So I really do like dark mode. It's just my favorite feature of iOS 13, and in my honest opinion, it should have been here a long time ago. Now, performance-wise, this iPhone 7 Plus is pretty snappy. I must say it does have the A10 Fusion chip that came with iOS 10, but it has some very great performance overall on iOS 13. It's just very quick, very snappy, and it gets the job done, I must say. Now, when it comes to playing games on the iPhone 7 Plus, it's a really great experience. Now, you can just go ahead and play a game. And this is when the A10 chip really shines. So you can see that the gameplay is really smooth. It never has any lag or anything like that. So you could just match up the fish with the arrow right there. So it's kind of an addicting game. You just got to be fast. and then it'll be game over. But you can see that there's no lag whatsoever when you are using games with the A10 chip on iOS 13. Now you do get the volume HUD right here, so you can see the volumes at the side. Now you do get the dark mode as well, so you can just go ahead and swipe up and enable the dark mode. So we can go back into settings now. You do have that dark mode, and it does look really premium. So it looks really good on the iPhone 7 Plus, I must say. And I really do like that dark mode as well. Now the good thing about the iPhone 7 Plus, other than that it feels modern, is that the iPhone 7 Plus is supported at least for 2 more years. So it's supported at least till iOS 15, and I must say that's definitely a good news because Apple normally just shuns away their device to push the latest and greatest, maybe iPhone 12 and iPhone 9, but it's really good that the iPhone 7 Plus will be supported for another 2 years. So I must say for the price, that is definitely a good deal. So if you're paying around $250 to $300 for this device, and you still get iOS 13 working to its full functionality all the way up to iOS 15, along with all the new features, then that's really good. Now, one main feature that you gotta look at is the battery drain, which is inevitable with an iPhone 7 Plus, which is nearly a 4-year-old phone. So when you think of it, the battery's been charging and running out of battery for 4 years. So we can go into settings and then the battery. And now we can take a look at the overall battery health. So taking a look at the battery health, I could see some more information about how the battery performs overall and see your overall usage. Now I can actually go to battery health right here, and it'll tell you the maximum capacity of the iPhone's battery. As you can see, even with optimized charging enabled and peak performance capability, the maximum capacity of this battery is only 90%. So it's no longer 100%. So that's what happens with all these lithium ion batteries. They wear down after tons of battery cycles of charging them to max capacity, then draining them and charging them and draining them. You get the process. So that's one thing about these batteries. Now, while we're on the subject of charging, there's no wireless charging with the iPhone 7 Plus. The iPhone 8 was the first phone to enable Qi wireless charging. So if you have an iPhone 7 Plus, you're sure out of luck because there won't be any wireless charging. Now, that isn't the worst thing. It's still a solid device. It's excellent, not awful. It's solid, reliable. It's a value. And if you're looking for a deal of a phone, I must say that the iPhone 7 Plus is up to the task. So now you're probably wondering if you want to keep the iPhone 7 Plus or if you want to upgrade to the latest iPhone. Well, what I would say is if you currently have the iPhone 7 Plus, I would say wait till the new iPhone releases in presumably September. You won't be disappointed because that new 2020 iPhone will have the 5G and it'll have everything in the kitchen sink. So you get your most value when you wait till September. But should you wait for another new iPhone, such as the iPhone 9, or wait for the 2020 flagship, or wait for the iPhone XR or use 11? Well, that decision is entirely up to you, but what I would say is it just depends on your budget. So if you have a big budget, just wait till the iPhone 12 comes out, and then you can get the iPhone 11 Pro Max for a better deal, or you could just get the flagship iPhone, so the newest iPhone released, or you could get a decent upgrade with the iPhone XR or iPhone 9. So it's just entirely up to you. Anything past an iPhone XR is a good upgrade, I would say. So the iPhone XR just came out a few years ago, so you would still be upgraded. And you'll get the latest and greatest iPhone features, including Face ID, and no longer have a home button and everything like that. So I would say buy the iPhone 7 Plus in 2020 if you have an iPhone 6 or 6S Plus and you just want to upgrade a little bit. It's still a decent upgrade, and you get a new home button, you get Touch ID, and you get a lot of great features, and you get a solid phone with a dual camera as well. So you still are getting a good buy with the iPhone 7 Plus. If you come from the iPhone 5 or 5S or 6 or 6S, you pretty much get the point. So once again, the iPhone 7 Plus is a deal of a phone. I would say it's the best deal that you will get in 2020 for a iPhone or a smartphone in general. So the cameras and the screen size make a major difference, and it has a lot of good things going for it, especially with the dark mode and all the great iOS 13 features. Especially that'll be supported till iOS 15. That's another great reason why you should get the iPhone 7 Plus. So once again, thank you for watching this video on the iPhone 7 Plus in 2020. Please be sure to subscribe to this video. Please smash the like button down below so you watched. Also be sure to check out all the other videos on my channel. Be sure to check out AppleCritics.com for these Apple news, reviews, and more. Like my Facebook fan page at Facebook.com/AppleCritics. Follow me on Twitter at Twitter.com/AppleCritics. And follow me on Instagram at Instagram.com/AppleCritics. And once again, thanks for watching.